Well, here we are on day 4, still trapped inside of the house. 3 days of sleet, and then now day 4, we have 7 inches of snow. So there was a couple of requests, in particular from Miss Soft Brown. She was wondering how I made the 2 different colors on the lids of my magical micas. So since I have time, I might as well do another demo. So I'll show how I made that. When you get your magical micas, they come like this. They don't have anything on the lid except the name. So I usually do my lids and my swatch card at the same time. The swatch card is just made out of an Office Depot manila envelope cut into 3 inches by 2 inches. So on my card, I'm going to write, this one is called Maidenhair Fern Green. Maidenhair Fern Green. Okay, so then I take my water pen and I just make about 3 or 4 drops of water. Okay, so I have a little pool of water right there. Make sure your pool of water is nice and clear. That'll let you know if your brush is really clean or not. As you go from color to color, you want to make sure to clean your pen in between every color. So then I just take a very small dab with just the tip of the mica powder. Ooh, spread out a little bit. I have my little fan heater on in here and it kind of blew my powders around a little bit. Okay, so then we just mix this and mix this. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not shaking the camera at the same time. Okay. And so I first do it on my card because, you know, the lid is permanent, whereas a card I can always start over on. So that's pretty good. May want to darken it up just a smidge. Yeah, that's good. So if you were to combine the mica powders into a mini mister, then this is about the effect you would get. I like to make this swatch nice and big because if I were to spray a tag before I make the mixture and spray it and all that, I want to make sure it matches my cardstock. So I like having a nice wide sample that I can put up next to my cardstock papers. Now these mica powders, in order to get them to melt, they usually recommend that you have a little bit of warm water. Since it's so cold, I'm having a little hard time keeping my water warm per se, but it seems to be doing all right. Okay, so that's my light color. So when I know I'm happy with the light color, I'll go back to my lid and I'll swirl again. I'll start with like a line right down the middle and then I just spread it out. I'm not adding any water or anything. I'm just taking the product that I have and spreading it lightly on the lid. Okay, so there's my light one. Now to make the dark side, I don't add any water. I use the same pool that I have and scoop some more powder. And a little bit of the powder goes a really long way. So now we'll see if this is darkened up for us. I like it to be a thick consistency, where it pools a little bit, but that it's really a lot thicker and darker. This one is just perfect. And as you get used to working with the mica powders, you'll be able to feel the consistency as you put your brush down, and you'll start getting familiar with what it needs to feel like. It definitely feels thicker even when you're brushing it on your paper. You'll notice also with the mica powders that their color gets activated with water. So the color you have in your container is not going to be the color that you're putting on your paper. That's why it's so important to make up some swatches, or at least do them on your lids, because you're not going to know what it's really supposed to look like until you do that. Okay, so I think that's good enough. So I really like that color, so I'm going to go ahead and carry that onto my lid. I just take that thickness and I brush it on here. Right now you can't tell a big difference between the two, but when they dry, you'll really be able to see it. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry there. I'm going to close my lid before I bring my heat tool over. I'll let that dry. Get this. Pull this up with my paper towel. Oops, there goes my phone. Everybody is stranded at home, so everyone's texting and Facebooking and everything else. Okay, so that's how I make my swatches. Again, this is the Maidenhair Firm Green, and if you can see in the lighting, it really shines a lot. This side's a lot darker, and then this side is almost translucent, and you can put on a tag very easily. So I hope that helps you out. This takes a little bit more time to dry, but in the end, it'll look kind of like these that really show the light and the dark. So everybody stay warm. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you out in using your magical micas.